The power of one day in his courts. The power of one day in his presence. The power of what one day with Jesus can do for your life. There is power in this day. There is power in the here and the now. The Bible talks about the day of salvation. That today, if you hear his voice, don't what? Harden your hearts. What are his courts? His courts are where his throne is. And his throne is where his presence is. His throne is where he dwells. So better is one day near you than 1,000 days anywhere else. But the thing about the presence is the presence is the great revealer of where your heart is this morning. And yet here's what I've learned. Better is one day in your courts than 1,000 days elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts than 1,000 days elsewhere. But what has happened in previous days affects your heart today. And there's this theme, and we talk about it quite often. We talk about the day, not in the courts, but the day of trouble. Your heart is affected in those moments. And oftentimes, a day in the presence of trouble can affect the rest of your days. Like how you process that one day, and then you come in the presence of the Lord today, and oftentimes what happened yesterday or in that day of trouble, because you didn't deal with it rightly, it closes your heart off to today and what he has for you today. And listen, the Lord, according to John chapter 4, it says that he is seeking this morning worshipers. He seeks worshipers. What kind of worshipers is he seeking? He's looking for worshipers that worship him in spirit and in truth. Well, I was sitting on that one time, and I felt the Lord reveal this to me about the type of worshipers that he's seeking. He's seeking worshipers that worship in spirit and in truth. And the two prescriptive measures for freedom for your heart are those two things. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's what? There's freedom. So he's looking for those that worship in spirit. And then in John 8, verse 32, it says, and you will know the truth, and the truth will what? The truth will set you free. So he's looking for those that worship in spirit and in truth, meaning he's looking for those who have been liberated by the Spirit of God and by the truth of God. And so true worship is us returning a heart that's been freed by his Spirit, by his truth, and we're presenting his work before him, and it delights him. But here's what happens is you get in an environment like this, and the Holy Spirit is moving, and oftentimes what hinders our worship are those things that we have not been set free from. But here's the good news is when the Spirit of God comes into a room like this, he comes in to liberate. He comes in to create worship in you. He comes to liberate your heart. He comes, either you are worshiping in spirit or truth, or he releases his Spirit and releases his truth so that you can worship in spirit and truth. You see, it's in environments like this that we get free. You don't need another sermon today. You genuinely don't. We need an encounter with the Spirit, and we need an encounter with truth.